Airports in 2026 look calm on the surface. Nice lighting, friendly signs, smiling border officers. But behind that desk, there are questions that can quietly decide whether you walk straight through or get pulled aside while everyone else heads to baggage claim. And here's the part nobody tells senior travelers. It's usually not because you did something wrong. It's because you were tired, you misheard one word, or you gave a normal human answer to a question that actually has a very specific, correct version. Because immigration and customs isn't really a conversation. It's a matching game. Your passport, your ticket, your story, your documents, your medical gear, even what you packed in your bag. If one thing sounds off, even by accident, that's when the extra questions start. And in 2026, with more digital screening, medical checks, and automated border systems than ever, some of these questions matter way more than they used to. In this video, we're breaking down 14 real customs and immigration questions seniors must know for 2026, what they're really checking, why people accidentally answer them wrong, and how to answer in a way that keeps you moving instead of standing at a counter under bright lights, wishing you were already in a taxi. And make sure you stay right to the end, because the final question is the one almost nobody prepares for. And in some countries now, it can literally decide whether you're allowed in. Let's start with the one that feels harmless, but secretly sets the tone for your entire entry interview. Number 14. Can I see your passport? This sounds like the easiest moment of the whole airport experience. You've been sitting on a plane for 8, 10, sometimes 14 hours. You're tired, your back hurts, your brain is still somewhere over the ocean. And then, the officer looks up and says, the most normal sentence in the world. Can I see your passport? And this is where a surprising number of people accidentally start their entry interview on the wrong foot. Not because they're hiding anything, not because they've done anything wrong, but because this is the very first signal check. Officers are watching the 2 seconds after they ask, do you freeze? Do you start digging through 3 bags? Do you drop your glasses? Do you unzip the wrong pocket twice? Do you suddenly look like you've never seen your passport before? And look, this is normal, especially for senior travelers. You might have stiff fingers, you might be holding a cane, you might be trying to hold a boarding pass, glasses, phone, and dignity all at the same time. But to them, smooth equals routine. Routine equals low risk. Low risk equals faster processing. Here's the simple move that makes this moment easy. About 5 to 10 minutes before you reach the front of the line, get your passport out, open it to the photo page, hold it in your hand, or put it in an easy front pocket. Not buried under snacks, headphones, and that mystery receipt from duty-free. If you worry about dropping it, neck pouches or small crossbody bags are brilliant. Zip stays on your chest, easy access, no panic digging. Then when they ask, you don't need a speech, just hand it over clean and calm. Sure, that's it. Because whether we like it or not, this tiny moment sets the tone for everything that comes next. If you look organized, calm, and ready, the whole interaction usually stays quick and boring. And boring at immigration is exactly what you want. Because the next question sounds like small talk. But it's actually where they start checking if your story matches what they already see on their screen. Number 13. Where are you flying in from? This one sounds like small talk. Like the officer is just being friendly while they stamp your passport. But this is actually one of the first consistency checks. Because while you're standing there, they can already see your flight history, your booking data, and your entry record on their screen. They're not asking because they don't know. They're asking to see if what you say matches what they see. And this is where tired travelers, especially after long flights, accidentally turn a 1-second answer into a full travel documentary. You might start with, well, I was in Bangkok for a bit. Then I went to Munich, and before that, and suddenly, you're trying to rebuild your entire holiday timeline while there's a line forming behind you and your brain is still on airplane time. Here's the smoother, safer way to answer. Think last departure city plus main connection if needed. I flew in from Singapore. Or, I flew in from Chicago, connecting through Tokyo. That's enough. You are not there to narrate your vacation story. You're just confirming your route makes sense. And here's something people don't realize. If your answer sounds messy, confusing, or doesn't match the system, it doesn't mean you're in trouble, but it can trigger extra questions. And when you're tired, extra questions feel 10 times harder. If you ever don't hear the question properly, which happens a lot in loud airports, don't guess and don't ramble. It is completely fine to say, "Sorry, do you mean my last stop or where I started?" That actually looks calmer and more confident than guessing and correcting yourself 3 times. If you answer this clean and simple, most of the time you'll hear the next question straight away, and that next one sounds harmless. But it's where officers start deciding if your trip sounds planned or open-ended. Number 12. Who are you traveling with? This sounds like one of those polite, casual questions, like they're just making conversation. But this question is actually about clarity and safety checks. They're looking for one simple thing. Does your answer clearly explain your situation right now? Not your whole life story. Not who you might meet later. Not who you traveled with 5 flights ago. Just right now. And this is where tired travelers sometimes over-explain. You might say something like, "Well, I flew alone, but my daughter is picking me up and my husband is arriving next week and my friend might visit while I'm here." That's a normal human answer. But at a border desk, too much detail can sound messy, and messy answers can lead to extra follow-up questions. Here's the clean way to do it. If you traveled alone, I'm traveling alone. If you flew alone, but someone is meeting you, I traveled alone. My daughter is picking me up outside. If you are traveling with someone, but they're not next to you, I'm traveling with my husband. He's right behind me. Relationship plus current situation. That's it. And here's a very practical tip that helps a lot, especially when you're tired. Have the pickup name, phone number, and address written down somewhere easy to access. Because if they ask a follow-up, you don't want to be unlocking your phone, opening 5 apps, putting glasses on, taking them off again, and saying, "Hang on" 3 times. Smooth answers feel normal. Normal answers move fast. And remember, this question is also used for safety reasons, including trafficking prevention and welfare checks, so clear answers help everyone move quicker. Answer this one cleanly, and you usually move straight to questions about your travel history. And this is where people suddenly forget years, trips, and entire holidays. Number 11. Have you visited this country before? This is the question that makes a lot of people suddenly panic, because your brain instantly goes, was it 2018? Was it 2019? Was that the wedding trip or the cruise trip? Was that before COVID or after? And the harder you try to remember the exact details, the more nervous you can look standing there. Here's the reality most travelers don't realize. In many cases, they can already see your travel history. Old entries, old exits, old visas, old scans. They are not testing your memory like it's a school exam. They're checking if your answer roughly matches what's in their system. If this is your first visit, easy. No, this is my first time here. If you've been before, you do not need perfect dates. Yes, about 2 years ago. Or, yes, I visited once on a tour. That is completely normal. If your brain genuinely blanks, which happens a lot after long flights, don't guess and accidentally pick the wrong year. Just be honest and simple. Yes, I've been here before, but I don't remember the exact year. It was a few years ago. That sounds honest, and honesty plus confidence usually moves things along. The one thing that can slow things down is turning this into your full travel history documentary, listing every trip, every country, every stopover, every cruise, every wedding you ever attended overseas. More details means more chances to accidentally contradict something in the system. Keep it simple. Keep it honest. Keep it short. Because once they're comfortable with your travel history, the next question shifts from your past to your life back home. And this one is surprisingly powerful, especially for senior travelers. Number 10. What do you do for work? Or are you retired? A lot of people hear this and think, why are we talking about my job at the airport? You're not being interviewed for a position. They're checking 2 very practical things. Do you sound like you can afford this trip? And do you sound like you have a life to return to back home? That's it. And this is actually one of the easiest questions for senior travelers, if you keep it simple. If you're retired, this is your golden answer. I'm retired. Full stop. You don't need to explain your whole career. You don't need to say what you used to do. You don't need to tell them about your investments, side hobbies, or how busy you are with the grandkids. Simple equals normal. Normal equals fast. If you're semi-retired or do a bit of work sometimes, I'm semi-retired. I do some consulting back home. Or, I'm retired, but I do a little part-time work. That's more than enough. If you are still working, I'm a teacher. I work in retail. I'm a nurse. One clean label. Done. Sometimes they might add, do you have enough funds for your stay? That doesn't mean you're in trouble. It just means be ready, if asked, to quickly show a card, booking, or bank app balance. No speech needed. No life story needed. And here's something most people don't realize. Over-explaining can actually slow things down. If you start listing employers, projects, clients, or telling your full career history, it just creates more information for them to process. Short answers sound confident. Confident sounds routine. And routine is exactly what you want at a border desk. Answer this cleanly, and the questions usually shift back to your trip itself. And this is where things start getting a little more serious, because now they want to know why you're really here. Number 9. What is the purpose of your trip? This is where the conversation quietly stops being casual and starts being about paperwork matching. Because this question isn't really about your holiday story. It's about whether your answer fits the box your visa, ticket, and entry type already put you in. And this is where normal, honest, human answers can accidentally sound messy. You might say something like, I'm here to see my daughter, do some sightseeing, help with the grandkids, and maybe see a doctor while I'm here. That is a completely normal life answer. But at a border desk, that can sound like 4 different trip types at once. Tourism, family visit, possible work, possible medical. And when answers sound mixed, that's when extra questions can start. The smoother move is to lead with one clear headline that matches your paperwork. I'm here for tourism. I'm here to visit family. I'm joining a cruise from Miami. I'm here for a holiday. Short, clean, easy to process. Here's a big one. Many people don't realize, especially older travelers. The word help can sometimes sound like work. Saying, I'm here to help my daughter with the kids, is sweet, totally normal. But at a border desk, help can sometimes trigger follow-up questions about unpaid work or long stays. A safer version is, I'm visiting my daughter and grandchildren for 2 weeks. Same meaning. Cleaner border language. Medical is another one. If your main reason is treatment, you need documents ready. But if you're mainly visiting family and just happen to have a routine appointment while you're there, lead with the main purpose. Always match what your entry type supports. Think of this question like a quick reality check. If your words line up with your documents, things usually keep moving smoothly. If they don't, that's when conversations get longer. And when you're tired, longer conversations feel way harder. Answer this one cleanly, and the next question usually shifts from why you're there to how organized your trip actually is. And this is where vague answers can accidentally slow you down fast. Number 8. How long are you staying? This sounds like the easiest question in the world. Just give them a number, right? But this is actually where officers start listening for one thing. Do you sound like you have a clear plan, or do you sound open-ended? And this is where completely normal, honest answers can accidentally create problems. Especially for seniors visiting family. You might naturally say something like, I'm not really sure. Depends how long my daughter needs me. That sounds caring. That sounds normal. But at a border desk, not sure can sound like no fixed plan. And no fixed plan can lead to extra follow-up questions. Here's the smoother, safer version. Always give a number plus a simple reason. 14 days visiting family, 10 days holiday, 3 weeks visiting my son. That tells them you planned this trip. If you're visiting multiple places, keep it tight. 10 days total, 4 in Rome, 6 in Florence. That's perfect. You don't need to explain every day, every stop, or every activity. And here's a really helpful prep tip, especially after long flights. Have your return date written somewhere easy to see. Phone screenshot, trip sheet, printed confirmation. Because jet lag is real, airport noise is real, and sometimes your brain just stops working at a counter. And that's okay. As long as you can check quickly. Try to avoid soft endings like, we'll see. Maybe longer. Depends how it goes. Even if you mean nothing by it, those phrases can invite extra questions. Short, clear, planned. That's what sounds smooth at immigration. Answer this one cleanly, and the next questions usually move away from your timeline and start focusing on where you're actually staying. And this is where tired travelers suddenly forget addresses they've looked at 50 times. Number 7. Where will you be staying tonight? This is where immigration stops talking about your plans in general and starts looking for something very real and very specific. They want an anchor, somewhere physical that proves your trip is organized and not just, "I'll figure it out when I get there." And this is where even very prepared travelers suddenly blank. You can remember your grandkid's birthday. You can remember your airline seat number. You can remember what you ate on the plane. But the second someone in uniform asks, "Where are you staying?" your brain goes, my daughter's house. Somewhere. Near. That big shopping center." And this is exactly why they ask it. They want to hear something clear and real. Here's the clean way to answer. If it's a hotel, say the hotel name. "I'm staying at the Hilton Airport Hotel." Done. If you're staying with family, say who and the city. "I'm staying with my daughter in Vancouver." And if needed, "I have the address here if you need it." Perfect. If your trip is complicated, don't explain the whole thing. Start with night 1. "Tonight I'm at the Marriott near the port, then I'm joining a cruise tomorrow." That's enough. And here's a very senior-friendly tip that makes a huge difference. Have the address and phone number written somewhere easy to see. Large print if possible. Phone screenshot. Printed trip sheet. Because airports are loud. Officers talk fast. And nobody wants to watch you scroll through emails, open the wrong app, close it, open it again, then say, "Hang on, I had it here somewhere." Smooth answers look organized. Organized travelers usually move faster. And once they know where you're sleeping, the next question usually moves into security territory. And this is where things stop feeling like travel questions and start feeling very serious. Number 6. Did you pack your bags yourself, and has anyone given you anything to carry? This is where the tone can suddenly feel more serious. Because now we're not talking about your trip plans anymore. We're talking about security. And this question is still asked all over the world. But in 2026, it's tied into a lot more behind-the-scenes screening than people realize. They're checking for smuggling risks, trafficking risks, and whether you are fully aware of what's inside your own luggage. Now here's where very normal, very kind people accidentally create problems. You might say something like, "Oh yes, my neighbor gave me a small package to give to her sister." Or, "My friend asked me to take some vitamins to her cousin." Or, "My daughter packed my bag for me because I was rushing." All of those sound innocent, but at a border desk, they can instantly trigger more questions. Because the safest answer, if it's true, is simple. Yes, I packed my bags myself. And, no, nobody gave me anything to carry. That tells them you know exactly what is in your luggage. Now look, life happens. Sometimes someone really did help you pack. Sometimes someone really did give you something. If that's the case, be honest, but be clear. "I packed most of my bag, but my daughter helped me zip it." Or, "Yes, my friend gave me chocolates. They're in my carry-on." Honest, clear, specific. The big rule here is simple. Never carry anything you didn't pack, didn't see packed, or don't fully understand. Even if it's from someone you trust. Even if it seems harmless. Because if something unexpected shows up in your bag, you are the person responsible for it at the airport. And here's something most people don't realize. This question is also used for biosecurity and agriculture risks in many countries, especially Australia and New Zealand. So they're also thinking about food, plant items, powders, and natural products. Answer this one cleanly and confidently, and you usually move back into questions about money, paperwork, and trip proof. And this is where things can suddenly become very legal, very fast, even if you're just carrying a bit of extra cash. Number 5. How much cash are you carrying? This is where things quietly move from travel questions into legal declaration territory. And a lot of people don't realize this is not a trick question. It is a legal one. Almost every country has a cash declaration limit. Go over that limit without declaring it, and you can face delays, questioning, fines, or in some cases even having the money seized until things are explained. And here's why this catches people off guard, especially seniors, because many people don't think of themselves as carrying cash. You might think, it's just some emergency money. It's just what I brought for the trip. It's just what I feel safe traveling with. But border rules don't care why you have it, only how much. And remember, cash doesn't just mean paper notes. It can include traveler's checks, money orders, Sometimes prepaid travel cards in some countries. Now here's the part that surprises a lot of travelers. You're usually allowed to carry large amounts of money. You just have to declare it. Declaration does not automatically mean you're in trouble. It usually just means paperwork and explanation. The problems usually happen when people forget guess or say no when they're actually over the limit. And in 2026, with more automated screening and financial monitoring, mismatches get noticed faster than they used to. The safest move is simple. Before you travel, quickly check the declaration limit for the country you're entering. If you're close to the limit or over it, just declare it. Honest, clean, simple. Because undeclared cash questions can turn into very long conversations. Right when all you want is a shower and a bed. Answer this one cleanly, and the next questions usually move back into travel proof and planning. And this is where digital border systems in 2026 are paying very close attention. Number 4. Do you have a return or onward ticket? This is one of the biggest silent system checks happening at borders now, because in 2026, a lot of countries aren't just relying on what you say at the counter. They're already running automated checks before you even land. They want to see one thing, or proof this trip has an exit. And this is where completely normal travel behavior can accidentally look risky. Especially if you're visiting family and thinking, I'll just decide my return date later. To you, that sounds flexible. To a border system, that can look unfinished. Now for most travelers with a normal return ticket, this is easy. You pull up your booking. They see the departure date. It fits inside your allowed stay. Done. But here's where people get caught out. Open-ended stays. One-way tickets. Or, I'll book my return once I know my plans. Even if you are allowed to stay for a long time, officers still like to see a clear exit plan. And here's the good news most people don't know. You don't have to lock yourself into the perfect return date forever. Many airlines offer changeable or refundable tickets. Some booking sites offer hold options. The key is, it needs to be real and checkable. Because if they ask for proof, saying, I'll book it later, usually leads to more questions. And more questions when you're tired is the last thing anyone wants. Here's the safest travel habit in 2026. Always have a real return or onward booking ready, even if you plan to change it later. Phone screenshot, offline copy, printed backup if you like paper. Because airports are the worst place to discover your internet won't load. And if you can show proof in 5 seconds, everything feels smoother. Answer this one cleanly, and now we move into something that is catching more senior travelers off guard than ever. And this one surprises people because it involves completely normal medical items. Number 3. Are you carrying prescription medication or medical equipment? This is one of the fastest growing extra question areas at airports right now. Because in 2026, this isn't just about pills in a bottle anymore. It's about lithium batteries, injectables, controlled medications, CPAP machines, portable oxygen insulin pens, pain medications, sleep medications. And here's the thing. To you, this is normal daily life. To border screening systems, it can look like restricted items, dangerous goods, or controlled substances. And this is where tired travelers sometimes accidentally create problems without meaning to. For example, loose pills in a pill organizer with no labels, strong medications in unmarked containers, medical devices with batteries that aren't declared, or saying no to declaration, and then they see medical gear on the scanner. Now, this does not mean you can't travel with medical items. Millions of people do every day, but preparation makes everything smoother. Here's the safest 2026 travel habit. Keep medication in original labeled containers where possible. Have a copy or photo of prescriptions. Know the generic name of your medication, not just the brand name. If traveling with injectables or strong medication, a simple doctor note can help a lot. And here's something many people don't realize. Some medications that are normal in one country are restricted in another, even during layovers. So if you're traveling with strong pain meds, sleep meds, or controlled prescriptions, it's worth checking before you fly. Now, what do you actually say at the counter if this comes up? Simple and calm. I have prescription medication for personal use. If needed. I have the prescription here if you need it. That sounds organized, honest, routine. And routine is exactly what you want at a border desk. Because the worst situation is saying no to declarations, and then something medical shows up on the scan. Answer this one cleanly, And now we move into the question that sounds simple, but catches people all the time when they're tired and rushing. Number 2. Do you have anything to declare? This is one of the most dangerous, simple questions at any airport, because by the time you hear it, your brain is already at baggage claim. You're thinking about your ride, your hotel bed, a shower, food that isn't airplane food. And a lot of people answer this automatically. No, without actually thinking about what's in their bags. And this is where completely normal items can suddenly turn into extra questions. Because declaration is not just about obvious illegal stuff. It can include food plant products, animal products, large amounts of cash, new expensive purchases, medication, medical gear, batteries, souvenirs made from natural materials. And this is especially strict in places like Australia and New Zealand with biosecurity rules. Now here's the part most travelers don't realize. Declaring something does not mean you're in trouble. Most of the time, they just check it, scan it, or ask a quick question. The problems usually happen when someone says no, and then something shows up in the scan. That's when things slow down. Here's the smartest habit to build. Before you get to the counter, do a quick 2-second mental scan. Food, medication, medical gear, cash, new expensive items. 2 seconds of thinking can save you 10 minutes of explaining. And if you're unsure, there is a very safe, very smart way to answer. I have prescription medication and some sealed snacks. Do those need to be declared? That sounds organized, honest, cooperative, and that keeps you in the smooth lane. Because once you get past this question, there is usually one final check that many travelers don't even realize can affect entry. And this one is becoming more important in 2026, especially for older travelers. Number 1. Do you have travel insurance or proof of medical coverage? This is the one almost nobody expects. Because for years, travel insurance felt optional. Nice to have. Something you buy if you're feeling extra responsible. But in 2026, this question is showing up more. And in some places, it's not optional at all. Some countries require proof of medical coverage before entry. Some require it for visas. Some check randomly at the border. And this matters more for senior travelers than most people realize. Because border officials are thinking one thing. If something happens to you here, can you pay for it? They don't want visitors stuck with massive medical bills. And they don't want travelers becoming emergency cases with no financial plan. And here's the reality people don't talk about. Overseas medical costs can get very expensive very fast. Slip in a hotel bathroom. Minor fracture, simple hospital visit. Suddenly you're looking at thousands, sometimes tens of thousands of dollars. And this is why more countries are starting to check coverage. Now, this doesn't mean every country will ask you this, but if they do, you want it to be the easiest moment of your whole trip. The best habit now is simple. Save your insurance certificate as an offline PDF. Screenshot your policy number. Know where the emergency number is. If they ask, your answer is simple and calm. Yes, here's my proof of coverage. Show the screen. Let them read. Done. And even if nobody asks, this is still one of the smartest travel safety moves you can make, because good travel insurance keeps small problems small and stops your holiday turning into paperwork and hospital waiting rooms. And here's the big pattern behind all 14 questions. They're all checking the same things: who you are, why you're there, where you're staying, when you're leaving, what you're bringing in, and whether you're prepared if something goes wrong. Get those right, and airports stay smooth, fast, and boring. And boring at immigration is exactly what you want. Safe travels, and I'll see you in the next video.